of tapping into, I believe it was the week before last, what it means to level up and how leveling up isn't just taking a step up and being like, hi, I've arrived. It's more like you got to work and train to master that next level. And sometimes it can be really hard. It doesn't matter how many times you've been leveling up. It takes a different type of endurance, a different type of strength, a different type of level of belief in yourself in order to really master that next level. I don't believe it ever becomes easy, so to speak, for anyone, because if it does come easy, then I would almost question, are you really leveling up? Because something sounds really comfortable. So I want to talk about entering this new level, how I am being called to move and train and expand in this next level. It's not easy. I've already fallen flat on my face pretty quickly after I realized that I was going to have to level up. We also talked a little bit about how I'm really embracing my experience as a master manifester, and I'm no longer being shy about the fact that I have been able to manifest some pretty incredible experiences despite the circumstances. So I'm going to be moving more and more into this space. However, just because you are a master manifester, that doesn't mean that you won't be faced with the issue of self-sabotage. Self-sabotage doesn't care how many things you've manifested. Self-sabotage doesn't care how much your confidence is on fleek. Self-sabotage is a savage, straight up, and will eat you in a matter of seconds. Okay, I'm editing and I'm totally gonna interrupt. I have been cracking myself up as I'm editing this. Well, I get really intense in this episode, and it's over a pretty trivial experience. And I don't want to diminish the fact that self-sabotage comes in so many different forms. Sometimes it comes via events that are very trivial, and sometimes it comes with events that can fully change and alter your life, and not in a good way. Don't allow for the level of intensity to take you away from the overall lesson, because yes, the experience is trivial. The lesson of self-sabotage is really, really vital to our growth and has the power to completely bring our entire lives down. Self-sabotage is a savage, straight up, and will eat you in a matter of seconds if you don't watch yourself. Self-sabotage is your worst enemy. Self-sabotage is the darkness that lies within you. The energy that knows all the things that can trigger you, the energy that knows where you experience pain the most. It is the energy that, with a simple flick of the wrist, will knock you down. You all know how excited I was to get the show Vida. We had this really fun viewing party with Twisted for Sugar and Soda Float Catering. Oh my goodness, you guys. Soda Float Catering, they provided the retreat with the most cutest soda floats. There was Coke soda floats. There was also Fanta orange soda floats, which were so good. It tastes like a creamsicle. And of course, the traditional root beer. It was such a blast. I was so excited to get to share one of my favorite shows with some of my favorite mujeres. Hello. It really felt like a slumber party, this portion of the experience, not just because of the experience itself, but I felt like it was more than that, in the sense of really sharing a television show that has opened uncharted territories, where the creator, Tanya Serracho, who's also the writer, where she has made changes like having closed sex scenes. Season 2 is directed by all female directors, women of color. This show is taking on really important topics that so many of us need proper education on. And Vida is doing this with a show on everything that they take on, all the way from spirituality and religion to having sex. They really just take it there. It's a show that is telling a complicated story that has so many layers. And I think she's doing such an amazing job. Tanya Saracho is doing such an amazing job on how she is layering everything, because we are so different and so intricate, and she really does showcase that beautifully. So when I was pitching the idea of having Vida at the Mujer Llena retreat, which to me was a no-brainer. It was such a powerful alignment in terms of how at Mujer Llena we were taking our sensuality back, our sexuality back, how we were, having dinner in lingerie and performing a burlesque performance, which was incredible, by the way. I just thought it was perfectly aligned. In the midst of that, they asked me, would you want to interview Ser and Michelle, which is Emma and Eddie on the show? And I was ecstatic to even be asked, because I worked in publicity at one point in time. I know what it takes to pitch a person, to pitch a show, to pitch a podcast. So I was honored to be one of those outlets, to be able to interview Michelle and Ser. And of course I accepted. I also knew that this was a moment of leveling up. Instead of leveling up, what I did is self-sabotage. When I was first asked if I would do the interview, that didn't mean I was approved to do the interview. It meant we're going to pitch you, and if we think you are worth the time, you will interview them. Basically, as a publicist, you want to make sure that you're using your time wisely, because there's only a certain amount of hours in the day that talent is doing interviews for TV shows, for any type of media outlet. There's only a certain amount of hours in the day. They have to rest, they have to eat, they have to take breaks. And so they really need to make proper assessment on, is this outlet worth it for us? I knew in my heart I was going to get chosen. It was master manifester up in this bitch. That totally sounded cocky. That's not the energy I'm coming from, you guys. The energy is like, I believe in myself so much. I believe in Let There Be Lose. And I believe that Vida and Let There Be Lose are aligned. The self-sabotaging began the moment I received the email and was told, you're interviewing them. In that moment, I was completely doubting myself on, I'm not a good interviewer. I cannot do this. I'm not worth, you guys, it was 10 minutes. 10 minutes. But for whatever reason, I was freaking out and thinking I was incapable of doing it. I was so convinced that at one point I told myself I am not a good interviewer, and not just to myself, to other people. I had been saying that over and over. It's not that. It's that my passion doesn't lie in interviewing. That's why we don't do interviews on Let There Be Lose. We do something that is much more documentary style, where I bring you along with me to different healing modalities and give you pieces of audio that can really bring you in the journey with me. That's my style. It's not that I don't interview or can't. It's that I simply don't like to. But instead of owning that I don't like to interview, I started saying I can't. I began to get myself really overwhelmed over 10 minutes of my life. I was drowning in the fear, in the anxiety of it all. As I began to look over the email of when I would interview them, I see the time 11 a.m. In publicity, everything is always time-stamped East Coast time. Mostly because a lot of the outlets are out there. There's a lot of publicity agencies out there, but also because that's when publicity starts. It starts East Coast. They wake up before us. They break news before us. It's just the way it is. I didn't pay attention to the fine print that was after 11 a.m. saying East Coast Standard Time. And it wasn't just lettered. It was, this is East Coast Standard Time. I didn't see it. I chose not to see it. The small part of me, the part of me that knows my weaknesses, chose to not see this interview is on Eastern Standard Time. So here we are, the morning of the interview. And I hear my phone texts go off. And normally I wouldn't answer texts at that time. I'd be really pissed, like, who the heck is texting me? But for some reason, I just looked. And then, of course, followed the and the jolt out of bed and jumping over Alfonso to get out of the room as quickly as possible. I was freaking out because I received a text that said, "We can take you in 10 minutes for your call." And I was like, what? 10 minutes? No, I don't have my call until 11. And the woman was like, yeah, 11 East Coast. I had 10 minutes until my call to get ready. That meant I needed to work on my voice so it didn't sound like I just woke up. And I also needed to set up my Zoom so that I could record the call, something that I have never done before. And I told myself, I have all morning to prepare. I'll check out the audio via the phone call on Zoom, not via the screen, which is two completely different things. I thought I had time to navigate through all that and check it out. Now, at this time, from running around like a crazy person, I probably had like 7 minutes. Zoom never logs me out of my account, but they logged me out of my account. So now I'm having to sign in. I couldn't for the life of me remember my password because I recently changed it and I've never had to put it into Zoom because it never logs me out. But this day, the universe was yielding to what I was focusing on. And of course, it demonstrated, you're right. You do not know what you're doing. You shouldn't have gotten this call. You're not worthy of this. Who do you think you are? You do a podcast where you don't interview. Now you're going to take them and interview them? Oh, it was like nonstop in my head. So, of course, I attracted the event of not being able to log into my Zoom. I finally log into my Zoom and I can't figure out the phone call situation. It was so stressful. I finally connect via my phone and via the computer. And via the phone, I was able to do the recording. So I start the recording. I wasn't sure what I was going to ask. I felt like I didn't have the proper questions. I just really felt like I couldn't execute this. Like I wasn't worthy of receiving this. Like in hindsight, you guys, it was 10 minutes. You know, it was a 10-minute phone interview. It wasn't that big of a deal, but I turned it into a big deal because it was a level up thing for me. And how was I going to do questions? I can't interview anybody. They were so sweet. I know they could feel my fear. They could feel my nervousness. They could hear the shaking in my voice. Both Michelle and Ser coddled me and made me feel comfortable and took the nerves away. And it just was a moment where it was just me sharing how much I love the show, what it means for me and what it means for our community and how grateful I am to them. We need more content creators like this that are willing to push boundaries. And I had questions that were tying back to the spirituality portion of Vida because they do explore a lot of religion and spirituality and what it means for the show, what it means for the spiritual community, so on and so forth. After the interview, they both said, "May the light within grow stronger." That part gave me tears. It's mind-blowing to me how much I've grown that, like, here is Ser and Michelle saying, "May the light within grow stronger." Just so cool that the podcast was approved to do this interview. And as I hang up the phone, I watch my computer screen and it says error processing. I didn't physically stop the recording. I just hung up the phone. Find out that if you hang up abruptly, there's a big chance that your recording will not make it. I was so upset, waiting for Zoom to send me the recording. This was at 7 a.m. I mean, I was watching 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. I was just watching the clock move and I was refreshing. Like, where is this interview that I got approved for that is not accessible? That means a lot in terms of my growth, in terms of milestones. Major publicity companies trusting me with a piece of content that I verbally committed to. At 3:50, I let it go and was like, I'm just going to let it go. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Okay, I don't get asked to do another interview again. Okay, maybe that's just not my route anyway. So that's fine. They won't work with me again. All these things, that I just really had to calm myself through. Like, it's okay. It's a mistake. It's human. Like, whoever gets mad over something that to a certain extent beyond your control, because it is, I believe, fully in our hands. I believe we attract the chaos from the lack of belief in what we're about to experience. was. I had to just push past it. And as soon as I pushed past it, kid you not, the email from Zoom comes in. Taking a deep breath, I rest. Okay, cool. Moving on. Mujeriana retreat. What else is left? I'll record that episode when I get back from Mujeriana. You know, all the things. I get back from Mujeriana, of course, I have to wait to record the episode. So here I am today recording this Vida episode. And as I go to listen to the interview, it's blank. It's not there. It's gone. What was my worst nightmare that day when I recorded actually manifested. Is it my worst nightmare now? No, it's not. Because in my heart, nobody can take away that I interviewed Michelle and Ser. No one can take away the energy that was exchanged. I just got to call them personally to tell them how much I loved and believed in the show, how much I was rooting for them, and how much I was going to do my best to try and spread the importance of Vida for our day and age. Is it upsetting? A part of it is upsetting, but the other part is also like, why am I going to waste my time being upset? It's a lesson learned. Next time, Linda, read everything properly. Next time, do the work that you have been preaching day in and day out and start to say affirmations to get you through this next level of disbelief of what your power can do. It's just a lesson learned. Vida's out now, streaming all episodes. You can watch them all in one day. I've already streamed season 2 4 times. That's how much I love it. Watch it, share it. May the light within grow stronger.
Return to the one.